I'd like to welcome you to our June 27, 2019 council meeting. In the interest of time efficiency and ensuring that everyone who wishes to address the council is given the opportunity to do so, the following will apply to all comments made by the public. If you desire to be recognized by the chair, please fill out a request form and present it to the city clerk present in the council chambers. Each speaker shall be allotted 3 minutes to address the council, unless such time is extended by the mayor or by questions from council. Groups shall designate a spokesperson to avoid repetition of comments. Every effort will be made to avoid interrupting speakers. Thank you for participating in your city government. We ask that you please silence all of your electronic devices at this time. With that, I'll call this to order. We'd like to begin with our invocation and ask that you please stand. Our invocation will be given by Pastor David Nye from Christ Our Savior Fellowship Church. If you'll please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Most gracious God and Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us. We thank you for this city that we live in. We come to you this evening and ask you to impart your wisdom on these council members as they debate and make decisions that will affect the citizens of St. Cloud. We pray that whatever is done here this evening will be pleasing and honoring to you. And we ask this all in the name of our wonderful Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
Mayor Blackwell?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Matheny?
Here.
Councilmember Cooper?
Here.
Councilmember Askew?
Here.
Councilmember Trace?
Here.
First, we have a proclamation in recognition of Parks and Recreation Month to our Parks and Rec Director, Stephanie Holtkamp. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the city of St. Cloud, and whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region, and whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas parks and recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, and whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and the City of St. Cloud recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. And now, therefore, I, Nathan Blackwell, Mayor of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, do hereby proclaim July 2019 as Park and Recreation Month in our city, and urge all citizens to enjoy leisure time with family and friends at our communities, parks, and recreational facilities. And I would certainly like to say thanks to Stephanie for her incredible leadership and to all of the staff that are necessary to make the parks work. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Would you like to share something?
I just want to remind everybody that our new park located at 901 Virginia Ave, we're accepting votes on the park name. It's the city's first all-inclusive park, so we're very excited. Hopefully, we're scheduling a grand open, so more information on that will come. Thank you.
At this time, we have a presentation by the Osceola County Fair, Kissimmee Valley, and Livestock Group.
Thank you, Mayor and distinguished council members. I appreciate the opportunity to come to you here this evening. We are already in the planning stages for the 2020 fair, and we are excited about some of the additions and new things that we're going to be doing, including on opening day, a military and first responders, which has never been done with the fair before. We want to make sure that their veterans, military, and first responders are acknowledged, and we're planning some activities for that day, including I have just contracted with the Warbird Museum for a flyover at the B-17 Memphis Belle to come over during the opening ceremony of the fair. So we've got some great things planned. We're working with a fireworks provider to provide fireworks, which has not been done at the fair either. We've got a great entertainment lined up, including one of St. Cloud's very own, Mandy Harvey. Okay. So we're working with her right now to try to get her to the fair, which I think she'll be a great addition to it. And we're going this year with local entertainment. So we're getting a lot of entertainers from the area and all the way up to Tallahassee from Florida, but mostly in this immediate area here. Second thing that we're doing also at KVLS and the Osceola County Fair is we have opened up a farmer's market beginning this Saturday, something that we don't have in the area right now. So we're excited about it. A little early for produce and vegetables, but we have a lot of vendors coming, and we're only allowing things that are non-manufactured, non-mass produced. So it will be a true farmer's market. It'll be handmade items, homemade sauces, things, quilts, some tapestries, some other things that are coming in that are items made by people in the community here in St. Cloud, Kissimmee, and Osceola County. We're excited about that. It'll be from 9 to 2 this Saturday, so if you get a chance, please come by. And last but not least, I'm here this evening to present you with a plaque. St. Cloud has been an awesome sponsor of the Osceola County Fair. As you know, our charter is in support of the youth of Osceola County related to agriculture and livestock. We have given out in excess of $74,000 in scholarships. This last year we had $62,000 in premiums to the youth of the county for showing in different categories, whether it be livestock or poultry or rabbits or creative arts and 4-H and all those things. And we're very proud of those things we're able to do for the youth of the county and for St. Cloud and Kissimmee. So on behalf of the KVLS, or Kissimmee Valley Livestock Show and Osceola County Fair, I'd like to present you this plaque. It says, "To the city of St. Cloud, thank you for your support of the Osceola County youth and the 2019 Fair, Kissimmee Valley Livestock Show and Osceola County Fair."
Well, thank you very much. Could we all go down and get our picture made, please?
That'd be great.
With that, it brings us to our Citizens Forum. Any person who desires to comment on any item not in this agenda is provided this opportunity to address the City Council. Each person is requested to complete a signing form to be provided to the presiding officer prior to or as soon as is practical thereafter the person addresses the council. As you come forward, please state your name and address for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Judy King.
Good evening, Mayor Blackwell, council members. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. I'm here representing American Cancer Society's Relay for Life. We're asking for a facility fee waiver for July 26th for our banquet to appreciate our sponsors and our volunteers. As you all know, Relay for Life is a group of nothing but volunteers. All the funds that we raise goes directly to the American Cancer Society. We would like to ask for this waiver for the Marina Banquet Hall.
And that's July the 26th.
Yes, sir.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Do we know if it's available on the 26th?
Don't we have a process for this?
Yeah. Well, we're enacting one tonight.
No, we already have
Oh,
a
the other one?
process.
Okay.
We're jumping
Yes,
ahead.
we do have a current process.
Right.
Where they would speak with our special events coordinator, Aaron. I don't know if those conversations have
And that
had. She's
has
here.
happened. Ms. Vitale, who is my co-lead, is unfortunately not here tonight, and she is the one that spoke with her.
Well, Aaron's right there. Can I ask Aaron to, is the facility available? Have they spoken to you? Have they started the process?
Yes, they have started the process. They're working with Lori Christie because she's a facility supervisor. I don't know if Lori's received the request for fee waiver and where that is in our process, but we have been working with them.
So at this point, because the event is in the future and we are revising the policy, the city council could proceed with the changes to the policy later on the agenda, and we would treat it as is decided, if that's decided later, or if you would like to give us direction, we can move forward and waive it.
So our policy hasn't been completed yet. I think we were wondering if
No, we have a
With
policy.
a policy, how long time frame can we get it done? In the time frame that she needs to get it?
We typically, the current policy, review them quickly. It just depends on if they've submitted the paperwork and, given us all the appropriate information.
Well, if it's not until July 26th, they have time to submit that to you,
Yes,
do they
Yeah.
not?
yes.
And I do have that with me.
Okay, we're certainly amenable to that, but we have a process so that we can address that. And if you'll submit the paperwork to the appropriate staff, know that they can help you address this. And we're certainly amenable to what the American Cancer Society does.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Ms. Hewitt Crumpler.
Good evening, Hewitt Crumpler, Michigan Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. Put my name and phone number up here for any citizen that wants to talk to me, citizen to citizen, about any issues regarding city business, council members' actions. It's always important to give people credit when they do something right. So the first thing I'd like to do tonight is to thank each and every one of the 5 council members for their vote to stop the leachate dumping in our water system. I got to say that it was nice to see all 5 people vote for that. It was a very important item to our city, and I was proud of that, proud of each one of you. And I want to thank Mr. Cooper for bringing that forward, and Ms. Matheny for jumping on it, and the rest of you for voting what I thought was a really obviously important item for us. Is there any update or fallout since that decision to stop accepting the leachate?
I haven't heard anything.
Well,
Ms. Miller?
you were provided a copy of, I believe, a copy of a letter we received from the, you should have been, I apologize for that. There is, the day after that meeting, the city manager sent a letter to the
Right.
Waste Connection. We received a follow-up letter from them basically telling us that the action from the city, that the city council had taken was in breach of the contract. We followed up with a letter to them saying that we disagreed with that point. That's where we are with it. So
Thank you.
that's where I am.
I appreciate that update. The more I think about this particular topic, the more upset I can become about it. What was really encouraging was the people who spoke on this topic and how smart the citizens are and how unwilling they are to accept this kind of behavior. Fred Hawkins is our council member, our county commissioner that's supposed to represent St. Cloud, and we're in his district. And he's benefiting financially from this, his family, and I think the whole thing is absolutely appalling. And what I'm going to ask tonight is I'm going to ask each of you, I know that Ms. Matheny works for the county, Fred is her friend, Nathan is really friends with Fred, he's told us how proud he is of that, that's fine. He goes to your church, that's fine. He's friends with Dave Askew and Keith. Those 4 people you all got in office with Fred's support, I acknowledge that. But this is the time to step up and ask him personally, I asked you last time, have any of you picked up the phone and talked to Fred, have you? Has that changed at all? All right, well, I'm still asking for you to do that. And I'm asking for the St. Cloud City Council to support the idea that not only is the leachate wrong for us, but the physical dumping of these tons of coal ash that are filled with hazardous waste. Nobody can deny that. How much, what the effect's going to be, we could talk about it. But the reality of bringing in and accepting something into this country, into our state, into our county, and putting that in our potential water system is totally unacceptable. I ask you to send a letter asking the county to stop this immediately, to put a lawsuit forward. This was not done properly. The idea that our agreement, by the way, Mr. Manzares, our agreement, we never had an opportunity to talk about, is coal ash something that we accepted? When that original agreement was made, coal ash was not in the picture, okay? So how could it be an informed decision? How could it be the intent of that contract? There's no way. Secondly, hazardous waste, every day it's going into that dump, and therefore it's going to go into our water eventually. And I can see in the future where that would become part of St. Cloud. And even if it's not, it's part of our county, part of our neighborhood. How can that be acceptable on any level? That's my question. So I'm asking you tonight, please think about it, talk about it, and take some action to support the idea of stopping this dump entirely, this coal ash. It needs to be prohibited immediately. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Cooper.
Thank you. There is a meeting, I think, this coming Sunday at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock at 17th Street about the coal ash. So if you can find out, I think it's 2 or 3 o'clock on Sunday out there at 17th Street. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to the council? If not, that brings us to our consent agenda. The next portion of tonight's meeting is the consent agenda, which contains items that have been determined to be routine and non-controversial. If anyone in the audience wishes to address a particular item on the consent agenda, now is the opportunity for you to do so. Additionally, if staff or members of the City Council wish to speak on a consent item, they have the same opportunity. Are there any concerns from the council? Would anyone in the audience like to speak to the consent agenda? If not, could I have a discussion or motion by council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Athenia, second from Councilmember Askew. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Cooper.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. That brings us to public hearings. Is that correct?
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2019-04, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, repealing the infrastructure element of the comprehensive plan, providing for filing and planning commission recommendation, and proof of publication, applicability and effect, severability, conflict, copies on file, and effective date.
Good evening. I'm Cameron Crandall, Engineering Manager, Public Services.
We need to turn his mic up, please.
Okay.
The first final public hearing, ordinance 2019-04, is for the repeal of the original infrastructure element of the comprehensive plan. The next 5 following items is approval for those infrastructure elements. Originally, the document had stormwater, natural groundwater, aquifer, recharge, potable water, sanitary sewer, and solid waste elements all together in one document. And this process here is to separate them into individual elements to make the comprehensive plan more consistent and easier to modify in the future. So the first ordinance is to repeal the existing infrastructure element, and then the following ones are to approve them.
Do you have anything else for us on item number 1?
Yes. Well, I'll give this presentation. It kind of covers all 6 items. Just a little background. The infrastructure elements has goals, objectives, and the policies. In January, we updated the comprehensive plan infrastructure elements to include current facility statuses. We updated the maps. We updated the water and sewer current flows, objective flows. We updated the current solid waste tonnage and projected tonnages. The strategic plan goals are economic development, growth management, and infrastructure. In December 2018, the technical review group, the city staff recommended approval and transmittal to the Department of Economic Opportunities for the repeal and the approval of the individual infrastructure elements. In January of 2019, it went in front of the Planning Commission. They also recommended approval of the ordinances and transmittal to the Department of Economic Opportunities. And today we're asking for adoption of the following ordinances for the repeal and the individual infrastructure elements.
Thank you. Would anyone in the audience like to speak to this item? Please step forward. State your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Hugh Crumpler, Michigan Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. I have some questions. I don't pretend to know the details of this particular comprehensive plan, but since a lot of these items that deal with water, potable water, groundwater, aquifer, these are water issues, a lot of them in solid waste. My question would be, is there anything in this plan that's out there to protect our water sources, to make sure that we don't have something like coal ash coming there potentially hurting us? If that's not part of the comprehensive plan, it seems like it should be a goal, should be something that we could live by. It should be included. That's a question that I have, and then a recommendation if it's not in there. Seems like a good place for it, is it not? Secondly, in terms of the solid waste system that we have here, I see a lot of people out there pumping water through our systems, and there's a lot of signs out there saying they're flushing something. And I don't know if that's part of this particular topic, but I'd like to get an update on that. Thank you.
One of the goals and objectives of the potable water element is to protect the city's potable water system quality, as well as the natural groundwater recharge element also speaks to protecting the groundwater. I don't know if I don't believe it specifically mentions leachate in this document, but one of our goals and policies are obviously to protect the city's potable water system.
Can you give an update as to the question that was raised about flushing and,
Yes. For the past 2 weeks, the city water operators and U.S. Water personnel have been flushing, doing unidirectional flushing throughout the grid area, the downtown St. Cloud, from 10th Street to the lake shore. It's a special type of flushing where they open multiple fire hydrants and they run high rates they were basically trying to scour the water mains to remove any sedimentation, anything that might be in anything causing color in the potable water system. It should be routine maintenance. I believe we started the unidirectional flushing last year, and this is just the natural progression of going throughout the city, flushing different sections.
thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to these items? Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you. Asking the question of the pressure washing right here in the grid, I don't think we've done that very often. It's been years since we've done that. How often are you going to be doing it? Used to they do it regularly. Then they kind of tapered off. Now we're not even doing it at all until here lately.
Yes, sir. Prior to last year, we had been doing conventional flushing, which is more reactionary when the city would receive a complaint or an issue from a citizen saying that they've had some sort of water, particulate in the water, water color issue. We'd send out operators to flush the area around the complaint. But now we're moving forward with a city service area wide unidirectional flushing program. It's something I believe we're going to move forward with doing I'm not sure how often we're going to be doing it, but it's going to become regular maintenance for the city to do to protect the city's potable water system.
Could you give us a history of what's going to happen here from here on future? How often? How flushing that we're going to have? Because we haven't been doing it.
Yes, sir. So we've divided the city's utility service area into 10 zones, and the intent is to flush these zones. The first zone is in the southwest part of the city, closest to Water Treatment Plant 4, which provides the majority of the potable water for the city's service area. And we started that last year, and we're hitting the zones, we're simultaneously flushing and also getting the unidirectional flushing plans developed by consultant engineers. These are a little more complicated. They require modeling to be done to make sure when we're flushing, we're getting proper pressures and proper flows to scour the water mains to make sure we're getting anything that might be in the water mains out of it through the fire hydrants.
And how often, why are we breaking this out into 6 different items, and it was originally into 1, and you could change it at any time that you need to change it when it was all in 1, and now it's the same thing. All you've done is just making more history and more work to do. You've got 6 different items to go through and look and hunt and pick and find out what you've got to make a change. I just can't see why. Where did the theology to change it? When, why?
I believe it's just to make it more consistent throughout the whole comprehensive plan.
With staff recommendation? That's what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, that's a question. Okay. Seems like to me, if it ain't broke, why you need to fix it? And it looks like to me you're fixing when I don't see that it's broken. If you could tell me, I see and read that there's 6 different items here and they were all in 1, but you can make a change at any point down the road that you can need to change. I can't see that we need to have to pull 6 items and have them to be separated. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Miller, would you like to speak to this item?
Yes, thank you. The infrastructure element was written in 2003, I believe. The city hasn't updated it in quite some time. Therefore, the planning department is working with every city department to update their element with current information and also the exhibits with our current data and our current plans for the future. We, as part of that, want to ensure that the document is easier to follow in the future. We're looking to have when future amendments come to the city council, we want it's more transparent for us to be coming forward with an ordinance that says we're revising the potable water element instead of the infrastructure element. It will assist us to provide additional transparency to our city council, and we're working with one department at a time. I did see that Melissa did scoot closer. I don't know if she wants to add any more, but that was the intent.
Councilmember Matheny.
Thank you. I thought Melissa left. I thought she scooted out the door. So I have a comment. First of all, thank you, Cameron, for putting all this together. I know it's a monumental task. It doesn't bother me that it's broken out. I think it's a little easier to find things, and I would go with what makes us consistent with other communities and what makes it easier for everybody to find things. I mean, I don't mind this. I do have a comment that I'm sorry to say, but in reading all of these sections 1 through 6 here on the public hearings, I found some typos, some things that needed to be corrected. For me, I would rather, and I asked staff if they could read it. I wasn't reading it for typos, grammatical, but I would catch it as I was reading it. So I had asked if staff could give it to somebody who hasn't looked at it and just take the time, read it aloud or something to try to catch all of the things that needed to be corrected. I know they didn't have an opportunity to get it all done because it's so much work prior to this meeting. For me personally, I would like to have all of that fixed and cleaned up before we approve it. I know that's something that could be done after we vote, but I just think for me, it all needs to be cleaned up before we vote on it, because depending on what the clarification is, it could change the intent of what we were trying to approve. So I would like to move all these items to the next council meeting to give staff time to do one last QA/QC through the documents.
Let me ask Councilmember Trace first, if you'd like to speak.
Well, I guess just to follow up on her question, is there
There's not a timeline.
no timeline or anything? Okay.
I meant to say that. I did ask that. There's no timeline attached to this.
Okay.
As long as you continue all of them.
Yeah.
If you continue
Yeah,
the
we
first
can't
one.
repeal and then, yeah. And to follow up on Ms. Crumpler's question about, we can only control things within our city boundary, and then we have a little bit of say in the JPA, but if someone wanted to construct a landfill, like a new landfill in the city limits, we definitely would have a say, because that would require a comprehensive plan change and future land use element change. So if anyone wanted to do something like that, that would require city council approval. So that would be something that would be a public hearing. So just to kind of take that concern out of there.
I would like to make one quick clarification. There is a timeline for this to be adopted. It is October. We had 180 days since transmittal to the DEO, and that was in April.
So it wouldn't matter if we moved it to the next meeting.
So these could be continued without any problems, and you can correct because I know there were some certain grammatical issues, but I didn't see any problems with what I read. So, Mr. Manzares, do we have to have a continuance on all of these? Can we do them collectively?
No, you can't.
Have to do every one
Unfortunately, 'cause
individually.
they're advertised, everyone has to be read in, and then it continues.
All right?
Is that July 25th?
So when is the next council meeting?
July 25th, right?
July 25th? In regard to ordinance number 219-04, would you like to make a motion for continuance to July 25th, was it?
I'll make a motion to continue to July 25th.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Askew, a motion by Councilmember Matheny for continuance. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Cooper.
No.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1.
Item number 2, could you please read that into the record?
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2019-05, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, adopting the stormwater management element of the comprehensive plan, providing for filing of the Planning Commission recommendation and proof of publication, applicability and effect, severability, conflict, copies on file, and effective date.
Would anyone in the audience like to speak to this item? Could I have entertain a motion for continuance from council?
Motion to continue it to the July 25th meeting.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Athenia, second from Councilmember Askew. Madam Clerk?
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Cooper.
No.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1.
Could you read item number 3, please?
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2019-06, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, adopting the natural groundwater aquifer recharge element of the comprehensive plan, providing for filing of the Planning Commission recommendation and proof of publication, applicability and effect, severability, conflict, copies on file, and effective date.
Would anyone not, and y'all like to speak to this item? Could I entertain a motion for continuance?
Motion to continue to July 25th.
Second.
We have a motion for continuance from Councilmember Athenia, second from Councilmember Askew. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Cooper.
No.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1.
Could you read item number 4?
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2019-07, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, adopting the potable water element of the comprehensive plan, providing for filing of the Planning Commission recommendation and proof of publication, applicability and effect, severability, conflict, copies on file, and effective date.
Would anyone in the audience like to speak to this item? Could I entertain a motion for this item?
Motion to continue to July 25th.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Athenia, second from Councilmember Askew. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Cooper.
No.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1.
Could you read item number 5, please?
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2019-08, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, adopting the sanitary sewer element of the comprehensive plan, providing for filing of the Planning Commission recommendation and proof of publication, applicability and effect, severability, conflict, copies on file, and effective date.
Would anyone like to speak to this item? Could I entertain a motion from council?
Motion to continue to July 25th.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Athenia and second from Askew for continuance. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Cooper.
No.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1.
And I believe item number 6.
Final public reading for ordinance number 2019-09, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, adopting the solid waste element of the comprehensive plan, providing for filing of the Planning Commission recommendation and proof of publication, applicability and effect, severability, conflict, copies on file, and effective date.
Would anyone like to speak to this item? Could I entertain a motion?
Motion to continue to July 25th.
Second.
A motion for Councilmember Matheny, second from Askew for continuance to July 25th. Madam Clerk?
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Cooper.
No.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1.
That was fun.
Thank you, Cameron.
Thank you.
Sorry, Cameron.
Brings us to item number 7. Could you please read that into the record?
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2019-24, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, amending Article 2, definitions, and Article 3, divisions 28, exterior lighting standards of the Land Development Code, providing for severability, conflict, codification, and an effective date.
Good evening, Melissa Dunklin, Planning and Zoning Manager. Staff is requesting to continue this item to the next City Council meeting on July 25th, 2019 to allow OUC additional time for review. Additionally, we received feedback from the public that I will provide to the clerk.
Okay.
And can we get copies of those before the next, or before July 25th?
You have a question?
I just want to make sure we get copies of those by July 25th in the backup.
Yeah, I'd like to see what they got.
Yes, I provided enough copies for everyone.
Okay, staff's recommending continuance.
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to continue.
Do we need to open public?
Do we need public opinion on that? Because the staff brought it. Don't need it.
Okay.
We have a motion from Councilmember Matheny. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second for Councilmember Askew. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Cooper?
Aye.
Councilmember Askew?
Aye.
Councilmember Trace?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Matheny?
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Brings to item number 8.
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2019-30, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, closing, vacating, and abandoning portions of a drainage and utility easement located along the eastern 20 feet of property located south of Mutter Road, north of Nolte Road, and west of Old Canoe Creek Road at 1913 Oak View Circle, specifically described in the body of this ordinance, providing for severability, conflict, and an effective date.
Melissa Dunklin, Planning and Zoning Manager. This item is a request for an abandonment of easement for 1913 Oakview Circle. The subject property is located south of Mutter Road, north of Nolte Road, and west of Old Canoe Creek Road. The applicant wishes to construct a shed and therefore requests to reduce the easement from 20 feet to 5 feet. Here's an illustration of the lot layout that identifies the existing 20-foot easement. Here is the aerial view of the subject property. The proposed request meets the intent for the strategic plan goal for infrastructure to provide safe and adequate infrastructure to meet current and future needs. DRC and staff have reviewed this request and recommends approval. Likewise, it is requested that City Council approve ordinance number 2019-30 for the abandonment of easement. Staff is available for questions. I am unsure if the applicant has made it here tonight.
Is the applicant
The
here? Would you
applicant
like to-
has made it here tonight.
Would you like to speak to this item?
Yes, please.
Please step forward and give your name and address, please, for the record.
Thank you. Steve Barkley, 1913 Oakview Circle, St. Cloud. This has been a very education for me on this ordinance. When we first moved here a couple of years ago, we installed a pool and we got the permitting and everything else, and that's when we found out about this easement. And I came down to the planning department and asked what I could do to put my shed in there because I had taken my neighbor's fence down to get access into my backyard. And they told me about ordinance 2018-23 saying that I could put the shed there as long as I agreed and signed a document saying that I would have to move it. It wasn't permanent. And I did so, and then they requested that I take it to the county and get it plotted, which I did. And then a little bit later, I found out I was denied the shed for some unparticular reason. And I was told that the only way that I could get the shed in there was to get an abandonment of the easement. And I had difficulty with this easement because it's not plotted in the plot book of the county. It's just a note on the plot
about the lots, but I don't think it's specific to the 6 smaller lots in the inner circle. And there are no utilities in there. But I went ahead and paid the $1,200 and the $500 for the copies of the easement and applied for this. And now I'm being told that if this is abandoned, I've got to pay another $200 for a permit to have the shed. And I thank you for your time, and I really appreciate what's been done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barclay. Would anyone else in the audience like to speak to this item? If not, we'll have discussion and/or motion by council. Mr. Manzares.
Yeah, I think the city manager, assistant city manager advised me that there may be an issue with the heading describing the location.
Yes, that is correct. The header should say east of Old Canoe Creek.
So do we have the ad that was ran for this? It's not in the packet.
I don't have it with me right now.
Right, so the issue right now is the council has the ability to make a determination as to whether this inconsistency or mistake in the header would have impacted the advertising. In other words, could somebody who wanted to come object to this provision have not come because they thought the directional reference in the header was incorrect and it was a different piece of property? So this is probably what is, best I can tell you, this is probably what is would likely refer to as a minor, insignificant issue with the advertising. I don't, in these abandonment cases, especially in this, I don't necessarily think that the people are as focused on the actual legal descriptions in the ad. They're just looking at the general area. So, but the council has an ability to deal with it. If the council feels that this is a problem and creates a fatal problem with this ordinance, it'll have to be re-advertised and it'll have to come back before you again. But I don't necessarily think it is fatal.
Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you. I don't have any problem with this. We looked at it the last time. I'm ready to make a motion. We go ahead and
I have some other questions here people are wanting to ask, I guess. I'll let you make a motion in a moment. Councilmember Trace.
go ahead.
I think we've already put this guy through the ringer, so, we're just.
I'm going to make a motion.
Councilmember Matheny.
Thank you. I agree that I think that, because I actually was the one who leaned over to Ms. Miller. I said it's east, not west. But, it has an address. I think if anybody was concerned, if it was like a parcel ID number, I would be more concerned. But,
Right.
People are going to look at the address.
I agree.
I'm okay moving forward.
Me too. Make your motion, Mr. Cooper.
I'd like to make this motion. We go ahead and let you have your shed back there.
And I'll second it.
Have fun.
We have a motion from Councilmember Cooper, second from Mayor Blackwell. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Cooper.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Congratulations.
You got it.
Get your saw and get going.
We feel your pain.
It's an expensive shed.
Brings us to item number 9.
Final
Yes, ma'am,
public
yeah.
hearing for ordinance number 2019-39, an ordinance of the City of St. Cloud amending the City of St. Cloud's General Employees Retirement System, amending Section 6, benefit amount and eligibility, providing for codification, providing for severability of provisions, repealing all ordinance in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
Good evening, Joe Etter, Deputy Director, HR, Safety and Risk Management. We discussed this a couple of weeks ago, and basically, this ordinance provides for a one-time increase in retirement benefits, which will give our retirees a 2% cost of living increase. The last increase that the retirees had was in 2006. So obviously, this has been discussed with the pension board and the pension attorney.
Would anyone in the audience like to speak to this item? If not,
Yeah, if
I'm
you-
sorry, come forward. State your name and address.
Hugh Crumpler, Michigan Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. I'm totally in favor of this. I just wonder if we have a regular period of time when this should be reviewed. I mean, if it was, is it every 5 years, 6 years? I mean, what's the trigger for the review process is my question. I think we ought to have a process in place that this is not just, once in a while, but it gets reviewed based on the economy and adjusted accordingly. That would be my suggestion. While I'm up here, would you allow me to ask one question on a different topic, which is, we got heat coming up. I just want to know, does the city have a process for protecting people from the heat? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Etter. Blah, blah.
Relax, I don't want to be on that side. Yes, we've been talking with our pension attorney to try to come up with a process where this will be reviewed on a more regular basis than every 10, 15, 20 years.
We certainly think that ought to be done regularly. Any discussion or motion by council? Councilmember Trace.
And we did have the actuarial take a look at it and made sure everything was in
Right, the
order.
numbers are based off the actuarial report. Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2019-39.
I'll second it. We have a motion from Councilmember Trace, second from the mayor. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Cooper.
Aye.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Brings us to item number 10.
First public hearing for ordinance number 2019-35, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, amending the city code to repeal and replace Chapter 8, Animals, Section 8-2, Number of Pet Animals Restricted, and Section 8-3, Keeping Poultry, Domestic Fowl in their entirety, providing for severability, conflict, codification, and an effective date.
Melissa Dunklin, Planning and Zoning Manager. This item is an ordinance to adopt a permanent backyard chicken keeping program. The pilot program was established by ordinance number 2016-36. The sunset date of the pilot program was extended to August 31st, 2019 by resolution. So before it sunsets on that date, staff is proactively establishing a permanent program. The proposed ordinance meets the intent of the strategic plan goal for growth management to create a vibrant, progressive, and diverse community through collaborative planning. Staff is requesting that council approve the first reading of the ordinance number 2019-35. The final public hearing will be on July 25th, 2019. At this time, staff is available for questions.
Would anyone in the audience like to speak in behalf of the chickens? Anybody? Do we have discussion or motion by council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Well, Mr. Trace, I ignored you down there. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't see your red light.
Just a question for the record of, have we had any issues with the pilot program? I didn't see it in the packet.
We have not had any issues that I am aware of. The only concern that I have ever heard of was that the class that is offered by the IFAS, University of Florida Extension Office, was not held as often as may be needed. So we did change language in the ordinance to allow for an alternate educational program.
Thank you.
Councilmember Askew.
Hold on. So why he's asking those questions? Generally, when people take the class, I took the class, how many people actually sign up for this program? I see 21 here, but in my class, there was probably like 50 or 60. So I think the class is actually good. It doesn't seem like everybody jumps onto this. So.
Right. So I guess the class is not only for this program. I'm sure it's open to anyone in Osceola County since it is an extension office for the county.
I was also told that when people go through the class, they discover that taking care of chickens is not an easy task.
Right.
And,
Not easy.
And when you come to having to live up to all the city codes, that can certainly be an extra challenge. And so a lot of them bail out when they review that.
Chicken out.
Chicken out.
Which came first, the class or the permit? No.
The permit.
All right, Ms. Matheny, you want to make your motion again?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Matheny, a second from Councilmember Cooper. Madam Clerk?
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Cooper.
Aye.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Brings us to council action. Could you read item number 1?
Discussion and possible action regarding the vacancy on the Police and Fire Pension Board.
Okay.
We have 2 applicants, I believe, who have submitted applications.
Yes, Mayor, we have application from Captain Fran Reinhardt, who's in the audience this evening, as well as Captain Kirk Zilke. Both are employees of the police department.
Would anyone in the audience like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Mayor, council members. My name is Captain Fran Reinhardt from the Police Department. I've been with the Police Department for 26 and a half years. Currently, I am over the Patrol Division, which is a very large division. June 1st, my term came up on the Police and Fire Pension Board, and I was served on the board for approximately 5 years. Since serving on the board, I became a certified public pension trustee. It was about a 2-year process, and I take that, being on that board, very seriously because a lot of police and firemen personnel have, their futures depend on that. I believe I am well qualified for the position, and I hope that you guys see to it to reappoint me to that. We do have one of the best pensions in the state of Florida. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Would anyone else in the audience like to speak to this item? We certainly have 2 very qualified individuals that could serve on this board, but Mr. Reinhardt applied first, already has this certification. I think they're both qualified, but I'd like to make a nomination that we reappoint Fran Reinhardt to serve on the Police and Firefighter Pension Board.
Second.
I have a second from Councilmember Matheny. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Cooper.
Aye.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Manzares?
Yeah, and just as a quick follow-up to the discussion I had earlier, it seemed to me that the letters that we were participating in received from the attorney representing Waste Connections and related to leachate, that the council may have not received those. So if you check your inboxes on your emails, I resent them to you. I'll make sure they're there, so take a look at them. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. We had them, asked that they be distributed to you originally on June 20th, but I'm not sure you all got them, so they're there now, and nothing's happened else since, so but you can take a look at them, give me a call if you want to talk about it some more.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, sir.
Our acting city manager, Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. At the last city council meeting, we received direction to amend the resolution from for the Public Safety Task Force. And I have a proposed resolution. I'd like to ask for you to add it to the agenda for discussion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to add this item to the agenda. Are there any objections?
So, by the way, here,
Can we just get a consensus on this?
You actually need a vote.
Sir?
You need a vote.
Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor
Got
Matheny.
next one?
Councilmember Cooper.
nay.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1.
Chuck, I think, Chuck, you got a pile of them there.
Have I got
It's just
everybody?
like one page.
I'm holding everybody's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Here, I'm taking yours too. Here, I'll take.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I was
Yes.
keeping them all.
As I mentioned, at the last city council meeting, staff was given direction to, actually, did you read it?
All right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
If you could read the resolution, please, Claudia.
Could you read the resolution, please?
Resolution number 2019-140R, a resolution of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, amending Resolution 2019-110R, creating a special purpose advisory committee related to public safety, increasing the membership of the committee from 11 to 13, increasing the number of members to be appointed by the city manager from 5 to 7, and subject to confirmation by the city council, and providing an effective date.
Do you want to speak to the resolution,
Yes, please.
please?
At the previous city council meeting, we did receive direction to move forward and amend this resolution to add 2 positions. City Manager Sturgeon has 2 recommendations. First is Christina Morris, and the second is Norma Vasquez. If the city council approves the resolution this evening, we ask that you approve it with those names if you deem appropriate.
Would anyone in the audience like to speak to this item? If not, we'll have discussion and/or motion by council. Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you. I did give 3 names to Bill Sturgeon. Looks like, I guess he just ran past those and saw the other 2, right? So that's seven board members from Bill Sturgeon. The council members gets 1, right?
According to the resolution, the city manager would receive the 2 additional.
This is a loaded dice right here. You're giving it away. Thank you, sir. This is ridiculous.
Would anyone else like to speak to this item? Councilmember Matheny.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution with the 2 recommendations from the city manager.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Matheny and a second from Councilmember Askew for the passing of the resolution with the addition of Norma Vasquez and Christina Morris.
Can I get like a 2-second blurb about who each of them are? Because I don't know who they are.
Yes, go right ahead.
I don't know who they
he's
are.
asking.
So can I get a
He's asking.
2-second blurb
Yeah.
about them?
Christina Morris is the director of the West 192 CRA, and Norma Vasquez is a pastor in St. Cloud.
I know Norma Vasquez. I asked her to serve. She's represents part of the Hispanic community. She works with a large constituency of Hispanics in the area and is well respected. Lives inside the city limits. I know her.
And I'm sorry, she's also on the Board of Adjustment.
Yes.
And I know Christina Morris. I've worked with her for many years at Osceola County. She was previously in economic development at the county for many years, and then she got this new job in the CRA, and she's great. When I heard she was willing to be on the board, I was like, that's great. I mean, she's a great addition.
Great. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Cooper.
Nope.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1.
Councilmember Cooper.
Oh, I'll make it easy on you. Nothing today. How about that?
Councilmember Matheny.
You're not going to believe it. I don't have anything either.
Are you sure?
I could.
You want to
I can
rethink?
wax poetically about some stuff.
Councilmember Trace.
I'm good.
Councilmember Askew.
Well, I guess I'll bring up something then. So I had the pleasure to go to Toho's workshop last night, where we're just on their agenda, they were going to have a little chit chat regarding St. Cloud's water. They came up with it was about an hour long. They came up with a couple different things. Some stuff was a little new to me, but basically, there was a couple different versions. I guess they're going to reach out to all of us. It was their board, their workshop, but I'm just kind of passing on what I heard there. I know most of the people on their board there, but they kind of talked about two things: taking our water over and taking all the assets with it, or taking over the water and leaving the assets. I believe there's more ways of doing this. The thing that kind of struck me a little interesting is that we're the 9th fastest growing city in the nation, and if they ended up the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I believe they're going to start reaching out to council and starting to have that conversation. We're such a fast growing city that if they took our water over right now, what they're sort of going to be proposing to us, and I just want to make sure everybody catches this, is that if they took it over right now, that we would have 18% of the water in St. Cloud. In other words, they would lock us at whatever water we had in our possession right now. What growth would happen in the JPA and things like that would not be amended into the payout down the road. So I just don't want to be that council person that makes a decision in 10 years, 15 years down the road when water is your gold mine of decision-making, that I just want to make sure that everybody understands all the pros and cons that come into it. And I know we all do. It's just, it was very interesting. And everybody on that board, everybody up here knows most of the people on that board as well. And I think they're looking in the best interest of Toho. And I talked to them afterwards, and I said, look, I'm here. I'm just looking out for the best interests of St. Cloud. And but just make sure that we all understand the facts when we go walking down this path. So other than that, mud run to Saturday. So Veronica Mill will be there at the 7 a.m.
Good starting gun.
Walking.
Councilmember Cooper, I'll give you another chance.
Where we at with the St. Cloud Hotel? You and I had asked, and you said you were going to give me, but you didn't. Or maybe you did.
Yes, Ms. Byron emailed you
Okay.
yesterday. However, I can give you an update. I was prepared.
Okay, thank you.
The owner and the contractor for the hotel are currently awaiting approval from the Historic Preservation Board for the new design on the earth and the exterior before proceeding any further with the design. The board is scheduled to meet on July 9th. After approval from the Historic Preservation Board, they will need approximately 4 weeks to complete the design and submit for permits. This is all contingent upon approval of the Historic Preservation Board, though. In the interim, they have submitted for approval a demolition plan for the removal of the metal framing installed by the previous contractor. This work will be performed while awaiting the Historic Preservation Board. And I would like to thank Mr. Bob Dethridge for that information.
Councilmember Matheny.
Thank you. I have a question now that you just said that. I mean, I'm concerned about taking the metal framing down because that was the whole, when I went and visited the site,
Yep.
that was the whole thing I heard that was like holding the building together now that all the walls are gone, was that metal framing. So we have assurances, structural engineers, stuff that says the building's not going to fall down?
Bob Dethridge, Building Department Director. Yes, there's a structural engineer who has made an assessment of the building and determined that the metal stud framing that was installed is not adding anything to the structure.
Okay.
So the removal will not have any detrimental effect on the building.
Okay.
All right.
When are they taking the roof off?
Depends on the approval of the Historical Preservation Board, but that will be one of the first steps in the process.
Okay. Very good.
Hey, while you're up here, so what type of roof, the last time I heard it, the roof they were looking at is putting an asphalt roof on there and taking the metal roof off. Is that true, or is that still true?
Well, they're actually taking all the framing, everything is coming off. And what they're proposing is to add an additional 5-foot knee wall a frame knee wall on top of the masonry structure.
Okay.
Then they will be putting a truss roof on top of that and creating 8 studio apartments in what is essentially the attic area now.
Okay.
But
Thank
what's
you.
the material of the roof?
The roof covering is, they're proposing is asphalt shingles.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry.
Anybody else want to jump in? Thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Miller, do you have anything else? Did you cover all your bases?
I did, thank you.
All right, thank you for being here tonight. You've done an excellent job.
See you at the mud run.
See you at the mud run. I have a letter from the Florida Department of Education in Tallahassee addressed to the St. Cloud Police Department. It says, congratulations on being recognized as the 2019 Commissioner's Business Recognition Award recipient for Osceola County. You have provided innovative learning opportunities in your community, and our students' academic performance is evident that your collaborative efforts are paying off. Florida's graduation rate is at an all-time high of 86.1%, an increase of 26.9% points since 2003, 2004, and for the third year in a row. U.S. News & World Report has ranked Florida #1 in the nation for higher education. I sincerely appreciate the St. Cloud Police Department for giving your time and resources to help Florida's future leaders and innovators. Thank you for your commitment to enhancing Florida's education system, and we say kudos out to the St. Cloud Police Department. With that, can I hit the gavel, whatever it is? Any, no more lights? Are we done? We're adjourned. Oh, no, I knew that I'd do something wrong. Let me read the closing here. You should have helped me, guys. Information report section. Thursday, July the 4th, city offices will be closed in observance of the 4th of July holiday. Monday, July the 22nd, Finance Committee Budget Workshop at 6 p.m. here at City Hall, Council Chambers. Thursday, July the 25th, City Council meeting at 6:30. Monday, July the 29th, City Council Budget Workshop. And we have reports, warrant list number 14 available for your review, and the Tree Advisory Committee minutes are available for March 2019. They have been approved. With that, we will be adjourned. Thank you.